What's up everybody, my name is NMI5. Figured I'd want to make a TF2 video today, so here's the TF2 video today. I wanted to talk about some of the new stuff with the FACEIT system coming to TF2 and my opinions on it, so here are my opinions on it. Guess I'm in a real mood for repeating stuff over and over again today. I don't know what's up with that. I've never done commentary videos before, you'll have to excuse me for being bad at it. But I have a couple main points about FACEIT, some of them positive, some of them negative, a couple changes I'd like to see made to it over its life cycle, things like that. I guess I'll start off with the stuff I like. I really enjoy the atmosphere of the servers, and while that's not under FACEIT's control, I feel like they can at least nurture a good community around it. The atmosphere in these servers feels a lot like the pubs used to back before there were official Valve servers, and you would just quick join servers nearby on official maps. Everyone would just be playing the game, relaxing, talking to each other in VC, things like that. And overall, there was a very relaxed atmosphere around the entire game, at least until you specifically sought out servers individually in which they gained their own individual communities. Not to say those communities were bad, I was a part of many of them, but they just weren't the same as queuing for a random server. I've been playing TF2 since September of 2013, and I've seen the game evolve a lot. I've seen it reach high points, I've seen it fall back down, and I've never seen the game in as sorry a state as it's in currently. I feel like most people will agree. The official Valve servers are a wasteland filled with bots, and the game hasn't received a major content update since 2017. This leaves the game in a bit of an awkward place where it still has tens of thousands of active, dedicated players and tons of new players still coming in, but they're just left to a terrible experience in general. Seems like Valve stopped really caring about the game after Meet Your Match dropped. They quickly patched it up, but they never kept putting as much love and support into it as they used to in years gone by. And I actually understand that to a point. You know, you can only work on something so long before it starts to feel bland to you. But it's not just that they've stopped releasing content, it's that they've stopped supporting the game entirely for things other than very minor bug fixes and keeping the servers up and running. Imagine if any other company did this. You had a game with tens and tens of thousands of active players, and they just didn't do anything. And it's not like Valve is just leaving the game up and running with the servers out of the goodness of their heart. They're still making tens of millions of dollars off of it. If they shut it down, they'd lose tons of money. They don't do anything to get that money, though. They just leave us here hoping that they eventually will release another update, which they won't. And the game has devolved into such a state with cheating and bots in general that it becomes unplayable and so many people just want to quit. FACEIT's a much smaller company than Valve, and they've just shown up to the scene. Now there are 12,000 people playing on their servers right now, and not a single one of them is a cheater. It shows just how easy it would be for Valve to fix this problem. They just don't. And the fact that FACEIT does is a great thing for the game as a whole. That doesn't mean there are ways that FACEIT could be even better, though, in my opinion. One thing I've liked about FACEIT so far is that there's no auto balance. You don't work an entire game to be shoved onto the other team, having to defend yourself from all your hard work and your friends. But auto balance is there for a reason. It automatically balances the game. And considering how much data FACEIT collects on users, giving everyone their own ELO score, they could easily allow semi-skill-based matchmaking. I don't mean like Counter-Strike skill-based matchmaking, where you get put into a game with only people your skill level. I imagine a system where there could be high-skilled players, medium-skilled players, and low-skilled players evenly split up among the two teams. Because part of TF2's inherent funniness is its skill divide. High-skill players killing low-skill players until all the low-skill players band together to do one suicidal push that somehow works. But having some high-skilled players on both teams gives the underdogs a chance to group up and actually do that suicidal push. And that's only one example of a way something funny can happen. Stuff like this happens on tiny levels throughout every match multiple times. Auto balance in TF2 is kind of an annoying way of cultivating that kind of funny system, but FACEIT doesn't need to do it in an annoying way. They can do it from the get-go because of the data they have on all their players. And I think TF2's silliness is the most important part of the game over game balance, competitiveness, all that stuff. Because if the game is silly, then you're laughing. And if you're laughing, you're having a good time. And right now they don't have sprays on the casual servers. And sprays kind of add to that atmosphere. They kind of help cultivate funny moments, like Nate Fox's videos where he makes sprays that players interact with by taunting in front of them or stuff like that. That's like part of what makes TF2 so special to so many people. Player interactions like that. That's not to say that TF2 cannot be played competitively, quite the opposite. I think FACEIT should also add a casual competitive league where you can casually play sixes, just like Uncle Dane has suggested in the past. That would be a great way to do it, and FACEIT has the perfect system in place to do that. It would kind of allow TF2 to have a CSGO-like accessibility to its competitive mode, where you can click one button and be playing with league rule sets, but have fun while doing it. You don't have to be super competitive to play competitive in CSGO, but it does introduce a lot of people to the rule sets and gameplay of competitive CSGO. And TF2 would make a great esport if there were enough people. There's lots of fun mobility, there's lots of interesting stuff to watch, different ways of aiming. Because right now, TF2 as an esports scene is incredibly niche. And FACEIT has the system in place to change that. And then they would make the money off of it by having them be the main source of that competitive system. Another great thing with playing on FACEIT is that there's the points shop. You earn points for playing the game and completing contracts, and then you can use them to get items in the game. Right now, all the items are really expensive for the amount of time you put into them. You might as well just buy the item. With the amount of time it would take to earn it, you could work at a job and get that item in less time than it takes to play for it. So, what if they added some low-tier items so players that just want to play casually and occasionally get some rewards out of it could get a couple refined metal out of playing a couple good games of TF2? It's not like it's unsustainable. Refined metal is worth, like, what, like 3 cents a piece? Sell it for like 500 FACEIT points. Bam. That's like still like a day or two of work. You won't be handing them out like pieces of candy on Halloween. And you would create a really rewarding gameplay loop for people that wanted to actually earn some stuff from playing TF2, even though they'd only be earning items that are basically worthless in the grand scheme of the TF2 economy. Another way to increase its longevity as a service, rather than have FACEIT die in a couple months, which is what I see happening if they don't continue to support it, because it will always just be easier to boot up TF2 and click the Q button, rather than use a separate client. They could increase the map pool, which would instantly add more longevity if they gave it a bit more attention than Valve did, adding maps like Whatville. And they could do occasional events, like double FACEIT points weekends, unusual giveaways, things like that that would just bring a bunch of people in one time and maybe keep them coming back until the next one. Anyways, those are pretty much my thoughts on FACEIT. I don't know if these would be a good idea for the company to do, as I don't work for them. I'm not a software engineer. I don't know how easy it would be to do stuff like this. I don't know what their balance sheet looks like. But what I do know is that I definitely think that it would increase the interestingness of FACEIT to the community as a whole. Anyways, that's about it. See ya.